Okay, so it's recording. So the way we set up these virtual environments is we saw a moment ago that we would have our default Yellowfin system and we define our client organizations. Now for each of those client organizations, we have the ability to create a reference ID and a custom style path. The custom style path references a folder within the Yellowfin's root folder, which basically it's the style path on the end of custom CSS and custom images. Within both of those, you put your logos, your CSS, whatever you need to rebrand the system. And what that looks like is if I jump onto the server, we can see that we have these app server web apps root custom CSS, for example, and we have each of the folders that was referenced from our client organizations, and within those we have the relevant CSS that we need for the styling, for the coloring, okay, and we also have a custom images, again subfolders based on the client organizations where we have their various logos or images that you need for that system. So it's a pretty simple way of building up that custom environment. With regards to the user accounts for those custom environments, you can do that in your main client organization, where you actually, if I drop back to the admin console, you can create your user accounts here as normal and then open up those user accounts and actually say which client organization they're part of. So the role, etc. You define the role first to make sure you're happy with that. And then within that client organization, if I just pop back to there, opening up any of these, you can start adding user accounts to it. Or you could log in as the administrator for that client organization and start creating user accounts as well if you wanted to do that. So it's a pretty simple way of setting those up. But what you must remember, once you've created those client organizations, what you must remember is they each have their own environment. So any data sources that are specific for that client organization, you need to create within the client organization. Any views associated with those data sources, again, you need to create in that client organization. So you can't just create those at the master and pass them down. You need to do those in each of the client organizations. So I've just logged in as an admin for this client org for Ferrari, and sure enough I can get into the admin console and I can start creating data sources, users, roles, etc. All of those are there. What you can't do is have client organizations within client organizations. That'll be a bit silly, so we don't do that, but you can certainly do this. Okay, does that explain that, or do you want me to go through anything more with regards to that?
Yeah, so one thing we wanted to understand about installer, because how do we install it along with our branding and get database also installed along with it in the same box?
Okay, so your top level, if I pop back onto here, so that initial branding where we currently are looking at the Yellowfin logo and the Yellowfin login, etc. That's at that top level. So rather than putting in a folder, you would just put in whatever CSS and whatever images you need in that sort of top level. So it would pick them up from here. So if we wanted to change this logo and the login prompts and all of that, we would put that in that top level. So that tidies all of that up. With regards to doing the Yellowfin install, it's to say you're already installed it, so you'll install your system and then you create those client organizations. You'll need to work out some method for where you're going to put your various customer databases, unless of course it's one database that you're filtering down for just the customers, or are you planning on having multiple databases, one per customer?
Yeah, so let me rephrase basically how it's going to work. So we'll have our customers, those will use our BMC product, they will buy our BMC product, they will install it. So while installing Yellowfin, it should look like it's a BMC reporting tool or whatever, and then that installer should install Yellowfin along with some database. So initial what we are looking at installing customization on installation first, and then probably as you just showed up all the configuration, probably our customers will do that, and we may need to provide some scripts or some way of adding those client organizations, but that is the next step. Probably we'll again explore on that and come back to you, but first thing that we are looking at is about installing Yellowfin as a BMC reporting tool and install database along with it.
So just want to add, the database we are talking about is for Yellowfin internal database that you guys are using. So for that purpose, instead of using your file-based data storage, we want to lay down, for example, Postgres as a database embedded. While installing Yellowfin, it should lay down and install Postgres database and use it as a Yellowfin internal database.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we will have separate database that is a reporting database where BMC data is going to store, that is separate, that is a data source. Those are different than this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, so there is a sort of silent installer available for Yellowfin. I'll just pull up the relevant information on that. Come on, I've got a slow machine today. So what you can do with the sort of silent installer is have all of this configured, so you can pre-configure things like what you want to have as the sort of background Yellowfin's configuration database and certain user accounts and so on. It's like a custom installer. I'm just finding the information for you. I don't often use it myself, so it's not something I've done a great deal with.
Okay, understand.
Right, there we are. So I will send you the link for this. I'll send it through in an email. But effectively you can use this silent install option and define things like values for option users, installed in distribution files, set up the Yellowfin database and perform post-installation tasks. So the whole execution process of doing the install can all be automated to the point where the end result is a working system in a particular format and a particular configuration that you wanted. And that is the best way to do that. It is silent in that it's either triggered from a command line and off it goes. When it's finished it says I'm done and everything is all set up for you. Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. That's worth looking at. So let me send you this link and you can have a good read through yourselves and make sure that does actually fit what you're after.
Actually, we have this link. We have gone through it, but we didn't find whether we can, embed some external database, or we can embed a database installables with along with the Yellowfin installables. Like whether we can, bind the Postgres installable with Yellowfin and create a new consolidated installer. That kind of thing actually we are looking for.
Yeah, so I think we tried few things here on this page, and apparently that we couldn't find an option to embed a database there. So.
Okay. All right. Well, let me. I've got some time, so I'll have a go at that at my end and see if I can include some of those things. It's quite customizable, so using the installer along with some web service options as well. There's quite a few things that you can do, and some code in the back end to get the environment set up. I say I've not really done it myself. I've not used that option very often, so I'll need to go through that myself and see
Sure.
exactly how that works. So yeah, I can do that and come back to you on that. But yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. I know it is used. A lot of people do it, especially where they're creating environments for multiple users and multiple customers. They do this, so there's no reason why it wouldn't do what you need it to do.
Okay.
I think it's just about the configuration side of it.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. So since we are on installer, I just want to share a couple of issues that we face actually. On my laptop, it is Windows 10 machine. I tried installing 2 times, but installation was successful, but web apps folder was empty and nothing actually was working for me. And then we tried it on some other boxes also, and we are getting an error that it was looking for an registry entry for Java and it couldn't find it. So, initial installation, at least on a couple of systems, whenever I tried, I faced challenges like even my colleague also faced similar challenges on different systems. So is there something that we are missing, or just wanted to share with you?
No, I mean the sort of standard install is you need to have some kind of Java runtime environment because the install uses that. So you'll need to have something like that installed already, and then the install should work quite successfully.
Are you sharing that screen?
No.
Yeah, maybe just let Ajinkya share the screen where you can see the error that is coming, and even Java is installed there, we are getting that error.
Okay, right, 1 second, then I'll pass that over to yourselves.
Yes. Okay, so you can see my screen, right?
I can see your screen, correct, yep.
Okay. So if you see, this is the error I'm getting while when I double click on the installer. Okay. And Java installed on this server is Java 1.8.825, which is higher than 1.6.
Yeah, that seems absolutely fine. That, yeah, 1.8.025, that's fine. It should have no problem with that.
We are seeing this on.
We are seeing these multiple machines, and on my laptop, which is Windows 10, it got installed, but web apps folder was empty. Nothing was installed apparently. Like few files were there outside the web apps folder, but not anything on the web apps folder.
Do you have anything? Do you have any system variables that are set to look at a previous or an older version of Java?
Not so sure.
If you just type into set, yeah, and just have a look. Java Home. I just saw a Java Home. What's that? Is that where you've got that JDK installed? Is that quite correct?
Yes. So JDK, right?
Yes, yes.
TLC bin Java JDK 18025.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it could well be telling the truth. It could be that that Java installation is corrupt.
Okay. So, is there any log file generated while installing Yellowfin?
Unfortunately, it hasn't actually got to trying to install Yellowfin by the time that error pops up. You've just started it, and the first thing it's done is it can't run the environment, so it can't write any logs.
Okay.
What you might need to do is deinstall your Java runtime, reinstall it, and try again.
Okay. Okay. So next thing on the performance thing, actually, we wanted to discuss about. Is there any data sheet published, like like the size of the database Yellowfin supports, and is there a specific configuration that you recommend for those like kind of databases?
Well, no, not really, because your database is entirely up to you. I mean, Yellowfin doesn't really mind how big the database is. The only thing that's going to happen is it obviously will take longer to run a query against a huge database versus a very small one. But I mean, there are various things we could do. So your database with all your data in currently, what type of database is it?
It's a Oracle. We support SQL Server, and yeah.
Okay, so it's an Oracle database. Which connector are you using to talk to the database? Just the standard one that came with Yellowfin, or have you installed a different connector?
No, the same one, OJDBC driver.
Okay.
JDBC, standard JDBC connection.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. That shouldn't be an issue.
No, we are not seeing any issue, or we are not reporting it, but we want to know what kind of, I mean, if the sizing calculation or the sizing recommendations, like what is a memory or CPU you would recommend for some size of the database, or what is the scale you have tested, or what performance testing?
Yeah, we've got a document that can help you work that out. That's not a problem. I can send that through to you as well. That's not too much of an issue. I'm just making a note in my email here.
So today we are using business objects, and we do test it, and we have a recommendation documentation for that. That is small, medium, and large setup, and how much data it should be having. I mean, what is the limit for small, or something like that, or we recommend what memory or CPU user should be having for such type. So I don't have anything in mind, like for 1,000 rows how much data, or 1,000,000 rows how much memory, but does Yellowfin have such a document?
Yeah, I mean, it's more associated with number of users and what those users are likely to be doing. So yeah, people just, let's say you've just got 20 odd users and they're just going to be consuming data. That's not a huge burden on Yellowfin. Whereas if you've got 80 users and they're all creating reports from multiple data sources, that is quite a bit of a burden, and you'll need a better machine to handle that. But this document helps you work that out, so I'll get that over to you, and you can see for yourselves the sort of thing that you need to use.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be it.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, folks. Anything else whilst I'm on the line? I mean, we can jump on another call a little later on after you've applied your patch if you want to. I don't mind.
Sure.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get back to you in case we have a few more issues. Yeah, we are still in evaluation phase, and we may bother you again probably. Yeah, thanks for your support.
You're very welcome. No problem at all. I'll speak to you a little later on.
Sure.